Hey everybody, it's Cauliflower Man here again. I'm bringing you another character guide. Today we're focusing on the character Kleese. Now Kleese is, he's not a character that I really have ever played all that much until recently, and man oh man do I like him. He's a DPS, he's a healer, he's a tank. He does absolutely everything if you play him right. He can be an absolute monster on your team. The one thing you got to remember with the Kleese is that his energy rifts are great because they give your team shields. So if you have a bunch of people playing that don't have shields, he's not exactly your go-to guy, but as long as people on your team have shields, he's great for them. And even if they don't, he's so his energy rifts are so good for himself that it can still be a great choice for your team, even if they don't gain anything from your energy rifts to their shields. But anyways, let's go ahead and look at his three main describers that Gearbox gives him over on the left side. It says he's a territorial shielder and he's complex. I would sort of agree with all those. I don't think he's all that complex because as a territorial person, that means he basically stays in one spot, like you control one area until you're ready to move up or until you're forced to retreat. So it's a very simple gameplay. You don't really have to think all that much. It's just stay here, deal as much damage until I need to either move up or retreat. So it's I wouldn't say it's a complex gameplay or it's a complex type of character when you're playing Kleese, but he is a shielder because that's what he does, is he gives people shields with his energy rifts. You can kind of say he's a healer. I don't call him a healer, he is support, but that the shield recharge that he gives is absolutely great. So let's go ahead and look at his skills and attributes on the right side. Now, the first thing we've got here is sort of his passive, I guess you could say, his tactical battle chair. This doesn't really tell you anything here, these few sentences. The one thing you can know from it, I guess, is that you can hover with Kleese, and you hover by pressing jump twice, and that'll use up something like 7 or 8 of your battle chair energy. You start with 20. This battle chair energy is what you use to use your shock taser or to hover. So you just need to know that. But anyways, like I said, this first attribute, the tactical battle chair, doesn't really tell you anything important. The second one, his wrist cannon and shock taser. This is his primary and secondary attack. Wrist cannon is his primary attack. You can turn his wrist cannon into a sniper sort of weapon that charges up. I personally don't like this. The main reason is that his wrist cannon, the way it starts out, it's just like a pistol that fires very rapidly, and this is great because there's no damage reduction over a period of distance, or there might be some damage reduction, like there might be some range on the pistol fires, but it's completely 100% accurate. So like when you shoot the pistol at something, if you're aimed on it, it's going to hit it no matter how far away it is. And the second reason why this wrist cannon is great is because it's a projectile. So anything else that's a projectile, it will knock away. Like it'll knock that out of the air. One of the great people to do this against is like a Toby. Just so you know, people who have projectiles, that's like Kleese, Kid Ultra, Toby. Beatrix shoots projectiles. A lot of people don't notice that one. Shane throws projectiles as well as his fetch is a projectile. But anyone who does projectiles, I guess Benedict does projectiles as well. But anyone who shoots projectiles, Kleese can shoot those out of the air. So he's a great counter for somebody like a Toby or a Shane, especially when you just counter Shane's fetch. Most Shanes don't understand that that's going to happen, and so they'll try and fetch you. As long as you're just shooting at them, that fetch won't get anywhere close to you. And then I guess you're not really going to ever counter a Beatrix because it's really hard to see her little darts, but Beatrix actually is a great person to counter people with projectiles, although I don't play Beatrix all that often. But his secondary attack is his shock taser. That uses up his battle chair energy, so you have to pay attention to how much battle chair energy you have, and it only activates, like it'll only actually target an enemy if they're close enough. So if you're actually just holding down L and there's no enemy in range, you're going to be using up your battle chair energy, but you're not going to be doing any damage, so always pay attention to that. Next it says we've got another one of these useless paragraphs, I guess, for Kleese. This one's just one sentence, but it just says he's a battlefield technician. Cool beans. His first skill is his energy rifts. You throw these down on the ground, and it'll heal your shields by 83 every 3 seconds, as well as deal 83 damage to all the enemies in range every 3 seconds. So this is what makes Kleese territorial. You basically want to stay in the range of your energy rifts. And once you hit level 4, these energy rifts will link together. And what I mean by that is that as long as you have two energy rifts that are both within each other's range, they link up and they add the 83 shields together. So you'll get, actually, if you have two energy rifts in the same or within range of each other, you'll get 166 shields recharged or 166 damage rather than just the 83. Otherwise, you have to keep moving between the ranges of each one. So once you hit level 4 and you can link those rifts up, it really allows you to have a bigger territory that you can control while still being inside the range of the energy rifts. His next skill is his energy mortars. These mortars do a shitload of damage, especially once you hit level 2, because you'll add your shield damage to those. Now, while you might think that it's kind of dangerous to add your shield damage to his or to his mortars, because you have your energy rifts, you shoot the energy mortars and then you just kind of back up out of sight, let the energy rifts get your shields back, and then you're right back into the battle. So you really don't actually put yourself at risk very much if you're doing it correctly. So always make sure that after you shoot those energy mortars, that you just get back and let your energy rifts give you more shields. And the reason why you do that is you can get Kleese's shields up to something like 800 if you do all the level ups with it and give him gear for it. And so if you add 800 damage to those 6 mortars, that's like 120 damage each just coming from your shields, and that's nuts. And then finally, he's got his ultimate is the black hole. It'll pull everybody in and deal a decent amount of damage. That's great for setting up your energy mortar. So like, let's say you want to hit a bunch of people with your energy mortars and there's like a minion wave coming and you've got a couple of people standing in front of the minion wave. Throw that black hole down. It'll pull all the minions in as well as the Battleborn in there, and then shoot your energy mortars right at the black hole, because they'll all get sucked into it, and your energy mortars will do area of effect damage to quite a lot of the people in there, and you'll just totally crush everybody in there. So that's a basic overview for Kleese. So now let's go ahead and look at his levels. The first level for Kleese, this one, it's sort of a toss-up. I don't like either of these level ups. The reason being, the one on the left, you can restore ally shields with your energy mortars, and that also, like, that gets bumped up by when you remove your shields. The extra damage from that actually turns into shield healing, so you can actually get something like 700 to 800 shield healing from your mortars. But the only problem with this is later on, or not even necessarily later on if you do the bouncing, but later on, like when you're trying to do damage to enemies, if you have your allies in front of you and you take this choice and you shoot your energy mortars at the enemies, it's going to hit your allies and it's going to be absorbed to give them extra shields. And a lot of times you didn't want to give your allies shields. Instead, you wanted to actually do damage to the person who's standing in front of your ally. So I don't like it for that reason. And then the one on the right side is not really all that great, but it does help for somebody who comes after you, especially if they're in cloak or something, just to do extra initial damage. I don't know if the extra bonus damage to shields works for overshields as well. I would hope so, but to be honest, neither of these choices are all that great. I generally go for the extra damage to shields just because I always want to make sure that I can shoot my mortars through allies. I don't want it to get absorbed by them, because those mortars do huge damage. Level 2, you can either slow people on the left side, or you can add Kleese's shield strength to the mortars. I never have used the slow in my life, because adding the shield strength to the mortars, it basically like quadruples or quintuples their damage. So I consider it the right choice to be an absolute must-have. So that's what I always choose on level 2. Now level 3 here, this one, the left side, you can use up all of your chair energy to slam the ground and do 160 damage, while the shock taser does like 800 damage if you don't slam to the ground. So why would you ever want to do that? It's just a complete waste. The center choice, you can give him a sniper rifle. That's okay because it does give him some range that he wouldn't have, but it completely ruins his anti-projectile capabilities, because if you're only shooting one sniper rifle shot, like every 3 seconds, rather than shooting 15 pistol shots every 3 seconds, then obviously it's a lot harder to shoot down somebody else's projectile. And anyways, the pistol, although it shoots slower than like it has slower velocity, it has less velocity than the sniper rifle shot. It's completely accurate, so it's not like you gain any sort of accuracy by having a sniper rifle. And then the right side, this is the one I always go with. You get one extra target when you use the shock taser. The great thing about this is that, like, let's say you have a minion wave coming, and generally speaking, your energy rifts are around corners, so you peek out so you see the first minion, shock taser that first minion, and the shock taser will link up and attack another enemy that is within close range of the first target, but it can also be behind a wall. That way you can hit enemies that can't hit you, and that's just a great attribute to have. So I always take the right one, the Don't Tase Me Bro, for level 3. Level 4 now, this one is another one where you basically have to choose one choice over the other, and that's you need to choose the left choice. This absolutely makes you far more mobile. Not necessarily like completely mobile, but when it said Kleese was territorial in the beginning, you want to stay within range of his energy rifts, and in order to get the full effect of his energy rifts before you hit level 4, you basically have to throw each energy rift on the exact same spot, so the territory you can patrol is very small, but once they're linked together, you can make the territory as long as, or as far as your energy rifts are spread out, and so your territory that you control is much bigger. The right side one, you never want to destroy your rifts, so that's just stupid. If your rifts go down, then you become almost worthless as Kleese, so don't ever choose the right side on level 4. Always go left. Level 5 is our next one here. This one, again, there's only one of these that I would choose. The left side seems like it would be good, but it has almost no area of effect, so I always avoid choosing that one. The extra 10 chair energy, that's a 50% increase in the total energy that you have, so it means you can use his taser for a lot longer before you run out of, I guess you could call it, ammunition. And then the right side choice, you never want to do any sort of choice that has some sort of bonus after you die, because then that means you're planning on dying. You don't want to plan on dying, just period. So especially because with Kleese, he's got a lot of survivability because he recharges his shield, so you really shouldn't be dying all that much anyways. So I always go with the center choice on level 5 here. Level 6, our next one. This one is one that I think I take a choice that most people don't. I think most people go for the left choice, give them an extra energy rift. While I can see the reason for their doing this, the only problem with this is it makes him sort of immobile, because his cooldown time, it takes quite a bit for that to come back, for his energy rift to come back, and because you're linking all your energy rifts together, if you have 4 of them and one gets taken out, you are forced to put your other one back where that first one got taken out in order to have all your energy rifts link up. Otherwise, you'll only still have 3 working together, and that's still technically true if you use the cooldown one in the center, which is the one that I would advocate for. However, when you have a lowered cooldown, it means that you can throw down your energy rifts far more often, so it gives you a bit more mobility. And also, if somebody takes out one of your energy rifts, because you get it back faster, it makes it easier for you to rebuild up your defenses. So I just feel like the lowered cooldown is better. When you have 3 rifts together, that's still something like 249 shield heal per 3 seconds, and later on you can lower that down to 249 shield heal per 2 seconds. So if you're having trouble staying alive with that much shield heal, you're really kind of doing it wrong. That being said, I could understand choosing the left choice here, but I always go with the center choice. The right choice, the only problem I have with right choice is that most of the damage that you get comes from Kleese's shields themselves, so increasing the number of mortars he has doesn't really increase the number of damage that they do. But anyways, going on to level 7, this one, all of these have their merit. The left side, you'll instantly recharge your mortars if you kill someone with the you'll instantly recharge Kleese's shields if you kill someone with his mortars. That's good if you're new to Kleese and you start dying a lot when you use his mortars. The only problem is you basically have to hit minions with this, because you generally speaking won't kill players with it every time you use it. So it forces you to attack minions with it, which isn't a terrible thing, but I try to avoid it. The bouncing mortars is great because it means that even if you miss somebody, like it hits the ground around them, it'll still bounce up and it'll still hit them. For some reason, it seems to make it way easier to hit people when you use this bouncing thing, but it makes it great to use Kleese in enclosed areas. That's where you want him anyways, because that's where his rifts have the most effect. That's where his rifts are best, is in an enclosed area with walls around you. But if the energy mortars bounce around and you shoot them somewhere where there's walls, they'll just bounce everywhere, and it makes it very hard to miss anybody with your mortars, and so they'll take all that damage, and that gives them a huge amount of damage output. The right side, you blanket an entire area. Again, this one kind of forces you to use your mortars on minions, because otherwise you're not going to hit all of the mortars on a target. But the one good thing about using the tampered mortars on the right side is that it makes the cast time significantly less. But I always choose the center choice. I would say the left choice is second best and the right choice is third. If we go on to level 8 here, this one, if you look at it right now, it looks like this left side is glitched out because it says +0 maximum shield strength. From what I remember, I thought this was +150 maximum shield strength, and I think that's what it is in game. I can't tell you right off the top of my head. I'd have to play a game as Kleese. I know I played a bunch of games as him recently, but I never hit level 8, so I didn't get to see it. But I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be +150 shield strength. If it's +0, obviously don't take it, because that's not anything. Obviously, you don't choose a level up that grants you nothing. But anyways, generally speaking, I'll a lot of times go to the right side anyways, because the +25% damage on the shock taser, that's great, especially if you have the extra battle chair energy and the shock taser attacking 2 targets rather than 1. It can really make it rack up a huge amount of damage in a very short amount of time and clear out any enemies that get too close to you as Kleese. And then level 9, this one, both of these choices are good. I think most people generally go with the +450 maximum health on their rifts, but like I said before, I lower the cooldown time on the rifts, so I expect them either to die quickly or for me to move forward, so I don't want the ones in the back to stay there that long anyways, so I don't usually add the maximum health to them, although that is a very good choice. I go for the decreased pulse time, because now your energy rifts, they pulse every 2 seconds, and so if you have 3 of them together, that's basically 250 damage or shield heal every 2 seconds, and that's just massive and it adds up really quickly. So I usually like to go with the decreased pulse time, but that's just my playstyle. I like decreased cooldown time and decreased cast time, different things like that. I generally like to go with a playstyle that focuses on that. And then for this last level, level 10, all of these except the right side choice are good. I generally go with the overshield because I like to throw a black hole down and then have my teammates just all pile in there, or have me just pile in there. And once you get that overshield, you'll have all the enemies who just took a huge amount of damage, and then you have an overshield to protect yourself to finish out the kills. You can decrease the pull time from when you cast it to when the pull or when the skill actually activates on black hole. That's a good choice too, but just don't choose that right choice, because again, you don't want your energy rifts to explode, especially because those energy rifts, whenever they pulse, they do 83 damage anyways, so this is only 50 more damage than they do when they pulse, and you can get them easily with 1 or 2 pulses by the time that your black hole goes off and the enemy runs out of there. So that's just a real stupid choice on level 10. Either choose the left side or the center choice, just avoid the right side choice. And now to look at his gear, again, I just use this standard 0 cost shard generator that has a negative on reload speed. That's because Kleese doesn't reload, so that just gives me shards without having to pay anything for it. The next one, again, it's negative reload speed, and it increases his shield. The shield is twofold for Kleese because, 1, it gives him more defensive attributes because he's got a bigger shield, but 2, when I use my energy mortars, it draws more damage from my shield because my shield is stronger. And then finally, I've got just a basic max rolled health regen, and that's just to improve his survivability. But again, when you're playing Kleese, just remember he's territorial, so you set your energy rifts down and you stay near your energy rifts. rifts. But if you're playing him right, you should be tanking very well, and by that I mean you should have one of the highest amounts of damage taken on your team. Obviously, because you have energy rifts healing your shields, you shouldn't be dying much, so you have a huge amount of damage taken, but low deaths. That's how you tell if you're doing or you're playing a tank well. Then you have high healing. It counts his shield healing as just general healing, so that's always great. And then you should be having high DPS just because he's got a lot of damaging skills, and his primary and secondary attack do good damage. But anyways, that's the way I play him, and so hopefully if you follow or if you watch this video and you follow my advice, you should start doing pretty well with him.